Can you believe it's been 40 years since we were introduced to Clark Griswold and his outrageously funny family? Well, you better believe it. And they're about to make their trip to Wally World. Here it is, my review of National Lampoon's Vacation. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1983 road trip comedy National Lampoon's Vacation, or sometimes referred to as simply Vacation, released by Warner Brothers, directed by Harold Ramis, starring Chevy Chase along with Beverly D'Angelo, Imogene Coca, Randy Quaid, John Candy, and Christy Brinkley in her acting debut, with special appearances from Eddie Bracken, Brian Doyle Murray, Miriam Flynn, James Keach, Eugene Levy, and Frank McRae. Now, this, of course, is the first installment of the Vacation franchise. Now, of course, I've already reviewed Christmas Vacation a few years back since I started doing my vids. This movie was released on July 29th, 1983. Henceforth, today is the film's 40th anniversary, based on John Hughes' story Vacation 58, which appeared in National Lampoon magazine. And it tells the fictitious story of the Griswold family on a cross-country trip to an amusement park in various locations as hilarious hijinks occur along the way. The film was a big hit, receiving mixed to positive reviews. So, let's get into the story. Clark Griswold, wanting to spend more time with his wife Ellen and children Rusty and Audrey, decides to lead the family on a cross-country expedition from the Chicago suburbs to the Southern California amusement park Wally World, billed as America's favorite family fun park. Ellen wants to fly, but Clark insists on driving so he can bond with his family. He has ordered a new car in preparation for the trip, but the dealer claims that it will not be ready for 6 weeks. Clark is forced to buy the Wagon Queen family truckster, an ugly, oversized station wagon, after the car he brought to trade in has been hauled away and crushed. During the family's travels, they experienced numerous mishaps, such as being tagged by vandals in St. Louis. Clark aggravates a bartender in Dodge City and is tantalized on numerous occasions by a beautiful young woman driving a flashy red Ferrari 308 GTS. They stop in Coolidge, Kansas to visit Ellen's cousin Catherine and her husband Eddie, who foist cranky Aunt Edna and her mean dog Dinky on the Griswolds, asking them to drop her off at her son Norman's home in Phoenix. After stopping at the decrepit and dirty campground in South Fork, Colorado for the night, Clark forgets to untie Dinky's leash from the rear bumper before driving off the next morning, killing the dog. A motorcycle cop pulls the Griswolds over and angrily lectures Clark over animal cruelty, but accepts Clark's apology. Edna learns of her dog's death and becomes more irate with Clark. Exiting Colorado, Ellen loses her bag, which has her credit cards, and Clark reports them as lost. While Ellen and Clark argue during a drive between Utah and Arizona, they crash and become stranded in the desert near Monument Valley. Clark and Rusty have a bonding experience, explaining why Clark wants to take this vacation. After setting off alone in the desert to look for help, Clark eventually reunites with his family, who have been rescued and taken to a local mechanic. And the mechanic extorts Clark's remaining cash, only to render the car barely operational. Frustrated, they stop at the Grand Canyon. When Clark is unable to convince the hotel clerk to cash a personal check because his credit cards have mistakenly been reported lost. He raids the cash register behind the clerk's back and leaves the check. Leaving, they find that Aunt Edna has died in her sleep. They tie her corpse to the roof of the car, wrapped in a tarpaulin. Discovering that Norman is out of town when they arrive at his home, they attach a note to the corpse and leave it in his backyard. Ellen becomes annoyed at Clark's hasty, half-hearted attempt at a eulogy. Overwhelmed by the mishaps they have encountered during the road trip, Ellen and the children want to go back home, but Clark has become obsessed with reaching Wally World and they continue on. After an argument with Ellen, Clark eventually meets the Ferrari driving blonde at a hotel bar. After telling the woman that Clark owns the motel chain, he goes skinny dipping with her in the pool, but they are discovered by the family before anything intimate happens due to Clark's loud remarks about the cold temperature, and Clark eventually tells the woman the truth, and she leaves him understandingly. Clark later lies to Russ while trying to explain himself, explaining that the woman was just a waitress. Ellen forgives Clark and they go skinny dipping themselves. Okay, now I'm going for the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Despite the family's misfortunes, they finally arrive at Wally World the next day, only to discover that the park is closed for the next 2 weeks for repairs. Finally slipping into madness and realizing that all his efforts have been for nothing, Clark buys a realistic-looking BB gun and demands that park security guard Russ Lasky take them through Wally World. Ellen and the kids follow, attempting to placate Clark. Eventually, an LAPD SWAT team arrives, and just as the family is about to be arrested, the park owner Roy Wally appears. Roy understands Clark's impassioned longing to achieve the perfect vacation, bringing back memories of his own family vacation headaches. He decides not to file criminal charges against the Griswolds and lets the family, along with the SWAT team, enjoy the park as his guests. In the end, a montage of snapshots taken during the trip is shown during the credits, ending with one that shows the Griswolds flying back to Chicago. End of story. So what did I think of National Lampoon's Vacation? I thought it was fun. Excuse me. Now, I will say this was just a fun-filled blast. I had years since I've been born. In the years since I've been born, I have never really taken the time to ever watch a vacation film, not even Christmas Vacation, until years later. After watching Christmas Vacation, which was the more popular, I soon decided to watch this one. I did see the second one, European Vacation, which came after that, but I'll get to that later. But I think I watched that before this one. But after finally watching this one, I thought this one was fun. Very fun. Now, with critics' reviews, the film currently sits at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Excuse me. Where they say, blessed by a brilliantly befuddled star turn from Chevy Chase, the film is one of the more consistent and thoroughly quotable screwball comedies of the 1980s. Definitely agree. But however, audiences polled by CinemaScore gave it a C plus. As the company's founders said in 2016, I loved it. I couldn't figure out for anything why people didn't love that more. Well, anyway, the New York Times gave it a good review, saying that the film, which is more controlled than other Lampoon movies have been, is careful not to stray too far from its target. The result is a confident humor and throwaway style that helps sustain the laughs of which there are quite a few. Variety called this an enjoyable trip through familiar comedy landscapes and praised Harold Ramis's directing as well for populating the film with a host of well-known comedic performers in passing parts. Definitely, I agree. But I gotta say, it was absolutely a fun blast. I'd say this is a fun film. The score was done by Ralph Burns, so you know that was good. It also included original songs by Lindsey Buckingham. Yes, which of course he contributed a couple of songs to the soundtrack. Holiday Road, which was a minor hit, reaching 82, while the soundtrack did not chart. And he also contributed Dancing Across the USA. Now, of course, you know Buckingham from the band Fleetwood Mac. There's other songs in the album, including the Ramones, and well, the other kind of well, the act that was known as the Fleetwoods, don't which of course that was a pop doo wop group that started out in the 50s, going into the early 80s. So that way, so I'm just pointing out so that we don't get them mixed up. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, I think the story was really good. Harold Ramis did a very good job in directing this film. And I'm going to say he was good. Now, as for our cast, we have Chevy Chase playing Clark Griswold. He's absolutely funny as hell in this. Definitely. Beverly D'Angelo plays his wife, Ellen. She's good. Anthony Michael Hall, who this was one of his earlier films after he had recently appeared in Six Pack a year before this. Of course, he'd later go on to appear in The Breakfast Club, Weird Science, and plus a lot of other films. He played Rusty. He was good. Dana Barron played Audrey. She was good too. Imogene Coca, who was a very funny actress and what have you. Of course, a lot of people knew her from the show called Your Show of Shows. I mostly would now know her well for playing the cave woman Shad on the cult classic 60 sitcom It's About Time. Randy Quaid plays Cousin A, and he's a real crazy guy. Wait till you see him in the other films. He's a real major nut, but he's funny though. We like him. A lot of us should like Cousin A. Well, I'm just trying to ask if you were paying attention. John Candy played Russ Lasky. He was good. Christy Brinkley played the girl in the red Ferrari. Yes. I thought she was absolutely amazing. Eddie Bracken played Roy Wally. He was very good. Brian Doyle Murray played the Camp Comfort clerk. Of course, he'd go on to play Clark's boss in Christmas Vacation a few years later. Let's see. And Miriam Flynn played Catherine Johnson, cousin Catherine is. Let's see. And there's Eugene Levy as Ed, the car salesman. Of course, he did have something in common with director Harold Ramis and John Candy because they all worked on SCTV, Second CTV, the series and what have you, which that was pretty funny. Speaking of Harold Ramis' daughter, Violet actually appears in this as cousin Daisy Mabel Johnson. There's even, Frank McRae, who plays Grover, another security guard at Wally World. And there's even young Jane Krakowski, long before she became big on Ally McBeal, playing cousin Vicky Johnson. Yeah. Harold Ramis actually has an off-screen voice cameo as one of the police officers at Wally World and provides the voice of the recorded message from Marty the Moose. Very funny. And there's many others and what have you. From but anyway, from what I've seen, I think Vacation was just so funny. The film would go on to make 60 million in the U.S. alone, and I think is very funny. It would later be followed by numerous 5 sequels that included European Vacation, which came out 2 years later, then Christmas Vacation in '89, and Vegas Vacation, probably one of my least favorites, in '97. And then there was a Christmas Vacation 2, but that was direct to video in 2003, but I haven't seen that yet. And, well, sort of a reboot requel called just simply titled Vacation, which focuses on a grown up version of Rusty and taking his family to Wally World. But anyway, with everything I've said about this film, I think it was just so much fun to watch and enjoy. So, would I recommend this film, National Lampoon's Vacation? The answer would be hell yeah, definitely watch, definitely watch it. Give it a go. I think you'll really like it. But anyway, what did you think of National Lampoon's Vacation? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And join me next time when I bring to you a spoiler-free review of Haunted Mansion. Yes, I just saw it, and I will do a spoiler-free review of it tomorrow. So, if you like this video, check out these other reviews I've done. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of another National Lampoon film, and that was Animal House from 1978, which recently celebrated its 45th anniversary. Or if you'd like another road trip flick, you can simply check out Road Trip from 2000. Or if you'd like some more Chevy Chase, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review of a film I can't really defend, but it also has John Candy as well, and that's Nothing But Trouble. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.